Let's talk about spiritual warfare. A lot of us think we know what that means, right? The shouting, the declaring, the big dramatic moments. But what if I told you that most of what we call spiritual warfare is actually a complete misunderstanding? We're about to dig into a perspective that might just change everything you thought you knew.
Okay, so first things first, we have to look at what this fight usually looks like in practice. Because the real question we have to start with is, are we even fighting anything real? The source material just drops this bomb right at the beginning. You think you're in a spiritual war, you're actually just punching the air. Whoa. The point here isn't that the devil isn't real, but that maybe, just maybe, we're swinging in the completely wrong arena. To really get this, the source gives this powerful picture. Imagine a boxer in a ring, drenched in sweat, totally exhausted, just throwing punch after punch at nothing. And where's the devil? He's not even in the ring. He's sitting in the front row, munching on popcorn, just laughing at the show. It's a brilliant way to show how a lot of what we call warfare is just performance, burning all our energy on a fight that isn't even happening.
And you've seen these scenes, right? The weekly church service where we bind Satan, who, for some reason, needs to be bound again every single Sunday. Or, blaming a flat tire or traffic on some grand demonic conspiracy. The argument here is that all of this, it's just a distraction from the real issues, the much quieter ones.
So that leads us right into our next big point. If we're not supposed to be in this loud, showy fight, why not? Well, it's because we have to totally rethink how powerful we think the devil actually is.
Okay, this is a big one. The source makes this really bold claim. You cannot go head-to-head with the devil. Forget about it. If he were actually allowed to physically attack a person, the fight would be over in less than a second. This isn't about downplaying faith, it's about understanding the actual rules of engagement.
And the perfect example of this is the story of Job. See, the devil doesn't just do whatever he wants. It's a very clear three-step process. First, he has to go ask God for permission. Second, God sets the exact boundaries. You can do this, but you can't do that. And only then, as a third step, can he act. He's not a king, he's more like an agent on a very, very tight leash. So, how often does God even give that kind of permission? Well, according to the analysis here, it's insanely rare. We're talking less than a 1% chance. Honestly, you've got a better shot at winning the lottery. So, that headache you have? Yeah, it's probably just a headache. And this, right here, is the turning point. If the fight isn't out there, if it's not about our circumstances or physical problems, then where in the world is it? This is the question that changes the entire game, because it turns out the devil has one primary place he loves to operate, a place where he has free reign 24/7, no permission slip required. And that place is in your head. The real battlefield is your mind. It's not a war fought out there with fists and shouting. It's a war fought in here, with whispers and suggestions. It's a battle of choices. And his one unrestricted weapon is temptation. But notice the key difference here. It's the power to persuade, not to force. The source describes him as a salesman. He can't make you buy a thing, but he's an expert at making his one and only product, sin, look like the one thing you absolutely have to have.
Okay, so if the battlefield is our mind and the weapon is temptation, how on earth do you win? Well, the answer is kind of the opposite of what you'd think.
This is fascinating. You know that famous Bible passage about putting on the full armor of God to stand against the devil's schemes? Well, if you look at that original Greek word for stand against, histomi, it doesn't actually mean to charge forward or to fight back. It just means to stand your ground, to hold your position, to simply stand still.
And this is the perfect illustration of that idea. So many of us want to be the striker in a soccer game, right? The one who's flashy, exciting, scoring all the dramatic goals. But the source argues that our real job is to be the goalkeeper. It's not glamorous, it can be kind of boring, but it's absolutely crucial. Your job isn't to attack the other team, it's just to guard your own goal, to prevent a quiet loss.
So who's the ultimate example of a spiritual goalkeeper? Well, get this. The source points to a guy who won one of the biggest spiritual battles in the Bible, not by fighting, but by literally running for his life.
Let's look at the Joseph strategy. He was facing intense, constant temptation every single day. But what did he do?
He didn't stand there and argue. He didn't try to rebuke her or bind a spirit of lust. Nope. He recognized it was a battle he shouldn't be in, and he did the smartest thing possible. He ran. Victory wasn't in the confrontation, it was in the escape.
So let's bring it all together in this final section. How do we actually use this goalkeeper or Joseph strategy in our messy, modern, everyday lives?
It all boils down to this single, powerful idea. True spiritual victory is found in smart prevention, not in dramatic treatment. It's the difference between building a good, strong fence at the top of the cliff or just parking an ambulance at the bottom.
And here's what fleeing looks like today. Let's say your temptation is scrolling on your phone late at night, feeding your anxiety. The Joseph strategy isn't about trying harder to resist. No, it's about recognizing the trap and getting out of the environment. Uninstall the app. Charge your phone in the kitchen. That right there, that's the modern version of running out of the room.
So in the end, real spiritual warfare, it's not loud, it's not dramatic. It's the sum of 1,000 quiet, unseen choices you make every day. It's deleting that contact from your phone. It's closing the webpage. It's turning down an invitation you know is a bad idea. It's less about being a warrior and a whole lot more about being a watchman.
And that leaves us with one final, very personal question. This isn't about some grand battle plan for the future. It's about tonight, right now. What is one small, practical door that you can quietly close to prevent a fight you were never even meant to have? Because the greatest victories, they're the ones nobody ever has to see.